Okay, so this video is going to focus around one instance of essay. I wanted to put all the essay allegations into one video, part 3, final video until Jimmy responds at least. I sort of overestimated how easy that would be as far as like getting everything approved with victims and lawyers and like also, traditional media is involved. They've been DMing me, New York Times, Time Magazine, also like documentary people. I don't know. You're like, hey, I've worked with Netflix and Hulu and Apple TV and Peacock. Are you interested? And I'm like, I don't know. But, I think people should go to those more legitimate sources to get their stories out. So I've been referring people to other people because traditional has, more resources than I do and better legal protections than I do for sure. I do have sort of that bigger project, the original part 3, and I have a lot of other interviews and other allegations that I'm working on putting together, so I have something for when MrBeast responds. If his response is bad, then I can sort of point out, hey, he lied here and he deflected and straw man argument or whatever. As well as like dropping new allegations and doing it in an opportune way so that they get the most eyeballs. But yeah, I just wanted to say this is just around sort of one allegation. Also, everything in this video is allegedly. This video is not monetized. It's for educational purposes only. This is matters of public interest. I'll put a full disclaimer on the screen. But yeah, here's the video. Okay, today I'm going to be covering MrBeast's secret CEO, James Warren, and his involvement in essay and essay cover-ups, like the one including his best friend, LaKoya Hill, who also happens to be MrBeast's secret chief operating officer, or was. And then I want to touch on the man himself, Jimmy Donaldson. MrBeast has very publicly and transparently been engaging in a massive cover-up, deleting a lot of evidence, and I think a lot of this cover-up is going sort of completely under the radar. We're not even aware of what's being swept under the rug, and they're getting away with hiding and deleting evidence. After I called out James Warren by name in my last video, his Instagram and Facebook got taken down, and his LinkedIn got taken down. So quick profile on James Warren. He's Jimmy's cousin and secret CEO, and I say secret because they're not very open about that fact. Like he doesn't post about it on social media. It wasn't ever attached to his LinkedIn. He's never featured or really referenced anywhere. I heard that he's very aggressive. I've heard him referred to as a psychopath who screams at people and hits his girlfriends. There's allegedly domestic violence charges that were filed against him. And I say allegedly because it turns out there's a lot of people in North Carolina named James Warren who assault their girlfriends, I guess. So I'm still having people look into these cases, specifically that surprise witness on YouTube. She's been super helpful in like behind the scenes, just submitting freedom of information requests and just helping me out a lot in general. She's super nice, super smart. She'll be posting a lot of updates on her channel, as she has been about the MrBeast situation.
MrBeast's video caused a military operation.
James Warren, also allegedly an ex-drug addict. I've heard that he offered cocaine and hookers to editors to stay late. And then the really big thing is that there was some incident between him and a female colleague that resulted in the female colleague leaving the company and receiving 3 years in severance pay. I'm still actively looking into this incident, so if you have information, let me know. But I've heard from multiple credible sources that this is true and this did happen. Also, I should quickly clarify that a lot of this investigation is allegedly. That's sort of the nature of these instances. I have a lot of testimony, corroborating testimony. But the reason I'm publishing this is that hopefully it brings more information to light. Like after the Jake Weddle interview got posted, which was all mostly testimony, people came out corroborating a story, and then ultimately Jimmy ended up apologizing and offering him $190,000, which to me I think is most likely an admission of guilt. You don't apologize for things that you didn't do. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way. But what's not allegedly is that James Warren is the former COO of acquisitions of a real estate investment firm called Greenstone Ventures LLC, which is one of the businesses listed in this indictment of his former business partner, Joshua Hutchins, who was sentenced to 10 years in prison for running a real estate Ponzi scheme.
Ponzi schemes are great up until they just go bust.
So before working at MrBeast, James Warren was involved in a literal fraud. In fact, he's actually mentioned in the court transcripts of this case. This is the sentence hearing for Joshua Hutchins. I'm going to highlight testimony from just one of these victims, a retirement age woman named Sylvia. She testifies, "I came to know Mr. Hutchins through a very reputable and successful real estate attorney who highly recommended Mr. Hutchins and who eventually left his agency to become the chief operating officer of Mr. Hutchins' investment firm." The chief operating officer of Mr. Hutchins' investment firm. She explains that the reason she trusted Mr. Hutchins was through the strong recommendation and endorsement from that very reputable and successful real estate agent. He represented Mr. Hutchins as highly competent and capable. He presented a successful track record in how Mr. Hutchins had delivered for other investments. On the next page, page 16, she testifies, "My trust was and has been severely violated. This is the equivalent of financial. Many of us entrusted Mr. Hutchins, who we've come to know to be fraudulent. Just $1.3+ million of worthless paper signed by him fraudulently misrepresented in the courts." So Hutchins was convicted for soliciting investment monies by telling victims that their money would be put to work on a specific property. In fact, Hutchins did not put all the investor funds to work on the property on which the investor was solicited to invest, and instead regularly used investor funds on other properties or personal expenses. Now, what kind of personal expenses? Well, apparently he bought an AR-15 and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. His wife had a domestic violence order of protection against him. He's accused of calling his wife a lying rat and sending menacing photos of himself in tactical gear in the woods to her friends and family. Again, according to Sylvia's testimony, James Warren represented Mr. Hutchins as highly competent and capable. She continues on page 17. "James Warren, the then realtor who recommended me to Hutchins, also encouraged us to work with Mr. Hutchins on trying to make it work, and we did until it became very evident as to his apparent intent of complete fraud." So James appearing to sort of try to mediate this exchange, saying, hey, give him a chance, don't pursue him, don't sue him, just make it work, right? The real losses due to fraud are evident. Financially, he's devastated my retirement. I can only hope and thank the good Lord that I have a brain to be able to function and try to earn back as much as possible. The impact, over $1.3 million in real losses. These are not, I got a piece of property, it was all fraud. She goes on to describe her financial troubles through the years, supporting her mother who had Alzheimer's disease, how in the crash of 2008 she lost her job and for 2 years was unemployed. In 2014, she had a severe cancer diagnosis, was out of work for over a year. She continues, "In spite of all that, I've lived very frugally and tried to make things work. I've made him know of all my history and I told him I could not take the risk. He and James Warren, the then realtor, stated, 'Oh, real estate.'" She goes on to describe how they presented it as a safe investment opportunity for her, and then James Warren's business partner defrauded her of $1.3 million. Now, can I claim definitively that James Warren was aware of the fraud that was taking place and willingly complicit in helping Mr. Hutchins defraud old ladies? No, but from what I've heard of James Warren's character, how he's hit ex-girlfriends, not let them leave the house, beat his dog, defrauded people in his own ways. Creative Juice is an interesting one that could be looked into, which was done with MrBeast, as well as another scheme that we'll get into that he conducted with LaKoya Hill. I personally believe that when he was working with Mr. Hutchins, he was in similar company. I think the COO of acquisitions would know and be sort of responsible for properties not being properly acquired through the court system. But again, that's my opinion. That's all allegedly. Now on to his alleged best friend, LaKoya Hill. They both went to UNC Chapel Hill together, and they both, after graduating, got into real estate. But by 2017, LaKoya Hill was running an adult entertainment event business in San Francisco called LaKoya Hill Entertainment. Then in 2019, he was hired to MrBeast as a producer.
Our party evolved into this place where, you have the drag queens, the muscle daddies, the bears, the twinks, the posh boys.
Now, I'm all for personal freedoms. I believe adults should be able to do whatever they want. However, I question what qualified the sort of go-go dance drag daddy of San Francisco for a job producing YouTube content for children. But, it'd also be weird if MrBeast hired Johnny Sins as the janitor, I guess. That's not the real issue, though. The issue is that in late 2021, he was allegedly fired for sexually assaulting his assistant. Now, I put fired in quotation marks because he was actually quietly moved to the dubbing company, which was Unilingo at the time. Here is proof that he used the Lakoya at unilingo.tv email, links back to him, links to these photos, one of which was the profile picture for his YouTube channel, which also after my first video, his YouTube channel mysteriously got deleted. And at some point, his Twitter also got deleted. I don't know if that's when he sexually assaulted his assistant. I don't know if that's after my first video got posted. Either way, Booty Call Wednesdays are canceled. He was actually brought back to MrBeast in 2023 after sexually assaulting his assistant prior and promoted to Chief Financial Officer, which is how I personally was introduced to him. Here's some evidence from the internal Slack channel at MrBeast showing Lakoya Hill acting in some COO capacity, saying there's news reporters outside, do not engage with them. This was shortly after the Time magazine article came out. So here I have a document showing testimony from former MrBeast employees talking about Lakoya Hill. When I say verified former MrBeast employee, I had them send some form of proof. I know who some of these people are. They just want to remain anonymous, but I'm willing to share this with like an independent third party if it needs to happen. Personally, I don't think MrBeast is going to deny sort of this Lakoya Hill story that I'm going to show you. But here's the first testimony, and I'll say this person is especially credible in my opinion. I asked them, did you see or hear of any sexual misconduct at the company? They say, yes, Lakoya Hill, the current COO. In 2021, he had an assistant named victim's name. I heard Lakoya acted very inappropriately with victim, booking hotel rooms with only one bed, walking around in his underwear, having victim come to his house and showing him his sex toy collection. Just in general, Lakoya made victim uncomfortable. Victim started complaining to higher-ups and a report got written. Lakoya was put on paid leave for like a month. Then MrBeast moved him to the dubbing company and he was hired back in 2023 and was promoted to COO, even though Jimmy, James, and Sue 100% know his history. Also, I heard that when victim was let go, he was given $30,000 in severance. I could get you victim's number. I don't know if he'd talk. I respond, yeah, that'd be great. Also, is there proof he moved to the dubbing company? I could look. It was the original dubbing company called Unilingo. MrBeast practically forced them to hire Lakoya, and then they poached Unilingo's employees and copied their whole business and created Creator Global. Verified employee number 2. Ask them the same question, have you heard of any sexual misconduct at the company? They say yes. I don't know how to spell their name, but Lakoya, something like that. He was brought in last year after having not worked there for a year or so at a very high level. I respond, Lakoya Hill. They say the reason he had been asked to leave previously is that he had sexually harassed someone that still worked at the company when he was brought back. Yes, Lakoya Hill. But they brought him back knowing he had sexually harassed an employee previously. And people often talk about Lakoya making them very uncomfortable on shoots. I verify employee number 3. I'm looking into more accusations of sexual misconduct at the company, wondering if there's anything you could corroborate. Have you heard of anything about Lakoya Hill? They respond, the old gay guy who likes to bang 18-year-old straight employees. Yeah, I've heard of him. Anything non-consensual to your knowledge? I heard he got in trouble for hooking up with his 18-year-old straight assistant, but the company kept it quiet from what I heard. He's a producer and worked in the adult entertainment before MrBeast. Yeah, Lakoya Hill Entertainment. I heard he was fired for sexual harassment, then brought back a year later. That's what I heard too. Employee number 4. Do you know who Lakoya Hill is? Yes. And you're aware of the case that has been covered up for some time. Explain. Essayed multiple people, apparently roofied multiple people as well. Verified employee number 5. I'll also say this person is especially credible, but they worked there a while ago, like 2020, 2021, around then. Okay, few things. Lakoya sexually assaulted his assistant who was straight and Lakoya was gay. You probably already know that, but James is best friends with him, so holy shit was that surprising that they kept him around way longer than they should have. There were reports of him making the assistant sleep in the same room/bed with him on trips, touching him inappropriately, and dangling his job in front of him. Employee number 6, did you hear anything about Lakoya Hill? I heard that incident happened. I heard they let him go, and I heard they brought him back and just put him in a different department. And I think he's working there again. Now, recently, MrBeast has let Lakoya Hill go. They had this sort of leaked email where they say, therefore, along with Jeff Hausenbold, our new president and COO, right? Alluding to the fact that Lakoya Hill is no longer working there. Now, I have been open with MrBeast about the fact that I was going to cover LaQuia Hill. This is a single frame in my first video where I reference LaQuia. He's also in my Twitter header. And I've also just told people who work at MrBeast that they have to let LaQuia Hill go. So they did what I wanted and let him go, right? Well, just on a whim, I decided to look into the Creator Global LinkedIn, and it had gone private to where everyone just shows up as a LinkedIn member, right? But I saw this, L, LinkedIn member, president of Creator Global. I thought, you know what, that's a little suspicious. So I reached out to one of my connections close to MrBeast and I said, hey, can you look into this account for me? Because sometimes if you have connections, you can see private LinkedIn accounts. And this is what they saw. LaQuia Hill, listed as the current president at Creator Global. No work history between graduating UNC in May 2001 and becoming the president at Creator Global in 2024. Dude, this is like the 3-cup game where you gotta like keep track of the pets and races as MrBeast just moves them between companies.
They just sort of kept moving them around. You know, like those killer whales at SeaWorld, after it kills a trainer, they'll then move it up to Seattle. They don't give them their background.
Which I heard, you know, MrBeast or James Warren forced Unilingo to hire LaQuia as sort of part of their partnership without, you know, sending them the report on his alleged sexual misconduct at the company. I also have a voice memo from James Warren showing that they told Unilingo to process a $28,000 bonus for LaQuia, which there's definitely something suspicious going on with that.
Hey buddy, it's James. Sorry to be bothering you. I've done my absolute best not to bother you. But LaQuia had presented a bunch of stuff to me and Jimmy a little bit ago. All really great stuff. But he had asked me and Jimmy personally, he's like, hey, you know, can I have a $28,000 bonus for work I did in the past? And I'm like, yeah, of course, man. And the reason for that is I had brought him up to my level and I don't take bonuses. So for like 2 years, he didn't get any bonuses when our guys were getting like crazy percentage bonuses. I need a favor. Sue cannot process this bonus through Beast. I need a solid. Can you please process a $28K bonus for LaQuia? Let me know. Bye.
And then they used LaQuia to try to steal Unilingo's business, poach their employees, take their clients, and then MrBeast launched Creator Global, where LaQuia Hill is currently listed as the president. So that's LaQuia Hill. And that's just what I can put on the record. I will say that if MrBeast tries to deny this, more evidence will be brought to light, and more people will definitely come out defending me, saying, hey, this is true. These allegations are true. This is all true. Allegedly, in my opinion, for legal reasons. Okay, now let's move on to the man himself, Jimmy Donaldson. First, I'll show this testimony from another former MrBeast employee just to show sort of the work culture, especially from a female's perspective. She says, on my very first day, I was told to avoid being alone in a room with certain people in positions of power. At least once a week, I was subjugated to inappropriate questions and conversations. Once, a male coworker asked me what I would do if Jimmy assaulted or harassed me. On another occasion, this same coworker said it wasn't fair that women could just decide a past sexual encounter wasn't consensual. Many of the men I worked with would make assault and pedophilia jokes on a daily basis. They would scream and hit walls when they got upset. The minute any woman leaves a room, they would talk about if/how they would fuck her. I've heard men comment on female contestants' bodies many times. Not everyone behaves this way, but no one openly speaks out against it in fear of losing their job. If you complain about any of this, you'll be shamed for being too sensitive or just ignored. You can't take anything to HR either because Jimmy's mom runs it. It's pretty common for people to essentially get paid to leave and stay quiet if they make enough noise about something. There is no employee handbook, by the way. If you ask for one or what the company's policies are, they just tell you to ask them and they'll let you know if anything is against the rules. But again, there's nothing in writing, which is true. The leaked document is just the production manual. Not given to all employees. Here's another testimony. This person will go on the record. This is Jess, who accused Ava Chris Tyson of sexual assault. I think her case has been sort of mostly ignored because she wasn't a minor when it happened. But she was a MrBeast employee, and you can see in her evidence, in her communications with the company, the clear signs of a cover-up. You can see them like threatening her with legal action and emails and saying like, oh, we're going to have a law firm investigate this. Well, they had one firm do an internal investigation, McGuire Woods LLP, the same law firm that sent me my first cease and desist. But then they hired, I guess, Harvey Weinstein's legal team, allegedly, to re-review everything. So I guess they weren't happy with the results of the first internal investigation. Also, yeah, this new law firm, Quinn Emanuel, MrBeast has worked with them previously, allegedly, to internally investigate LaQuia Hill's sexual misconduct. So why don't you make that report public, Jimmy? Anyway, here's Jess's testimony. I only hung out with Jimmy a handful of times, but he definitely was a little more reserved around me because I wasn't a part of his inner circle, or the boys club as it's called. I did hear Jimmy straight up say that the guy making a documentary on him right now has footage of him saying stuff that would absolutely get him canceled. It's just a well-known thing the boys club is misogynistic and looks down on women in the company despite what they might say publicly. Behind closed doors, the women in the company know that the culture is a problem. I have heard multiple stories of Jimmy being directly informed of SA happening at the company and proactively working to keep it quiet. So Jess directly implicating Jimmy in the SA cover-ups. LaKoya with an 18-year-old straight assistant, so she's one of the people corroborating that story. Ava told Jimmy about a time she was essayed by another talent member on a private jet, and talent members/employees making advances towards contestants was a regular occurrence. The reason all of this was able to happen for so long is because Jimmy is deeply misogynistic and only respects what he considers to be traditional women. He pushed those values into the company when he created it, and it resulted in several SA allegations we know about, and probably a lot more we don't know yet. Which I will say, a lot of the SA allegations are still not public. Like, man, just fire James Warren and LaKoya Hill. Fire them, don't just move them around. Or I'm going to start dropping nukes. Anyway, I'm going to move Maddie Spadell away from all this. I just want to touch on this briefly. So Maddie Spadell, who's MrBeast's very public ex-girlfriend of 2.5 years, posted this on her Instagram story. She doesn't mention Jimmy by name. It's sort of vague, I think probably either because she's under an NDA or maybe she's just testing the waters to see how people respond before sharing more information. But also it's like not that vague if you have reading comprehension and can read context clues. She says she spent years being quiet, never acknowledging that time in her life. 19 to 21 are formative years. Impacted how she saw herself and how she trusted men. Months of therapy. She says how he treats other women will ultimately be how he treats you. So how does Jimmy treat other women?
I don't really get along with women. I don't really get along with women. I don't really get along with women.
Well, women are stupid because they're inferior to men.
That when she and a group of contestants who were menstruating during the event had asked the production staff about getting their underwear more quickly, she had been told that it was not a medical emergency.
You'll never actually respect a woman, but just act like you respect them.
My God.
MrBeast withheld my birth control. I have ovarian cysts. You can't just stop taking birth control.
I don't really get along with women.
Also in this podcast, Jimmy goes on to talk about his relationship with his current girlfriend Tia in very weird ways, in my opinion.
For us now, like an idea of a date is just to like take an IQ test and then study and see if we can get it higher. An idea of a date is just to like take an IQ test. And then she was like, I'm an author. And I was like, fuck yeah, good. She has a hobby. And then I just DM'd her. I was like, oh, so your book, can I read it? She sent it over, read the whole book, and it was just like acting like it was the greatest book ever. I don't really get along with women.
It's all of our jobs to protect our friends, our moms, our wives, our sisters, our daughters, ourselves from people like that. That's a pretty clear statement, if you ask me. Now, I almost feel like there's been a campaign against Maddie Spadell to discredit her before she's even shared any information. A lot of like clout chaser and gold digger allegations. I'll say this is also from that Rolling Stone article. They referenced the breakup. The reporter says, Maddie Spadell, who's appeared in a handful of videos, those in MrBeast's inner circle told me that Spadell had been a positive influence, forcing Donaldson to prioritize work-life balance more. Donaldson did not want to comment on the record about the breakup, citing Spadell's privacy, yet Tyson, Chris Tyson, says Donaldson's singular focus on work was a major contributing factor. I think that's what he's going to be looking for next. Somebody who can match his obsession with business and money and all that kind of stuff. So not a bad word to be said about Maddie Spadell from Jimmy or the people in his inner circle, which is pretty unusual of an ex-girlfriend. I'll show some of the brain dead media coverage headed by Cuckstar and his news organization Drama Alert. So here's just one of his many posts about Maddie. A thread of every time MrBeast's ex-girlfriend allegedly shaded him, downplaying the clout-chasing claims against her. So let's see this extensive thread. One post of a TikTok where she says she was traumatized at 19. Why do you think that's about Jimmy, Keemstar? Allegedly complaining about MrBeast fans. This is her most popular TikTok period with over 6.5 million views and was posted last year. And then Drama Alert goes on to give one more example. And that's the end of the thread. So see her most popular TikTok seems to be alluding to her relationship with MrBeast. And then she has hundreds of more TikToks where she never even tried to recreate the success of that first TikTok, right? Like if I'm her social media manager, I'm telling her, hey, post about Jimmy Moore. And she obviously knows that if she did that, she would get more views, and yet she doesn't do it. Hundreds of TikToks, about 30 of them are about Taylor Swift, maybe 3 are about her ex-boyfriend of 2.5 years, which for a Swiftie, it's extremely, extremely low to post only 3 times about your ex-boyfriend who's now incredibly famous. So if she was clout chasing, she's doing a horrible job at it. Now, Drama Alert, on the other hand, has posted more times in the past month about Maddie Spadell than Maddie Spadell has ever posted about MrBeast. So I just wanted to address that because I think MrBeast knows Maddie has nukes against him and he's trying to discredit her. So let's look at this leaked email. This is from MrBeast. It says, yesterday, Dawson saved 100. Whoa, guys, whoa. Guys, I don't know how that got there. That was the wrong email. I don't know how that got there. Yeah, so I've actually heard from pretty credible people that this email was not leaked. So, why lie about it? Devious or deceptive tendencies. Here he is quoted in that Rolling Stone article saying, I'm great at lying. But I wanted to focus in on this part where they say, therefore, along with Jeff Hausenbold, our new president and COO, we will be hiring a new chief human resource officer, chief financial officer, interesting, and general counsel, along with other roles to add capacity and competencies to foster a better internal culture as we continue to grow. So what's interesting about this is that the only person named in an initiative to foster a better internal culture is Jeff Hausenbold. But what's ironic about this is that Jeff Hausenbold has been in the news previously for the internal culture that he helped create as managing partner at the SoftBank Vision Fund. Here's New York Post. Nasty executives shaped macho culture at SoftBank Vision Fund. And here's Bloomberg Business Week. SoftBank Vision Fund employees depict a culture of recklessness. It has also been described as an environment of sycophancy and harassment. So seemingly all the problems that people have with MrBeast's internal culture. But this Bloomberg article also goes to call Jeff out by name. Jeff Hausenbold collects cars, including a blue Ferrari, and claims to own a 20,000 bottle wine cellar, although he doesn't drink himself. Acquaintances describe him as smart and arrogant and almost entirely lacking in self-awareness. He's also gotten away with some questionable behavior. In a discussion about whether to invest in the stationary bike startup Peloton in 2017, according to 2 people who were in the meeting, Hausenbold opined that its exercise equipment appealed in part to men who masturbated to its workout videos.
Dude, I want to jerk off! Fuck! I want to jerk off! Look at this!
SoftBank denied the claims, but it's an oddly specific thing for 2 people to make up a story about masturbating to Peloton workout videos. So yeah, maybe I don't see the vision with hiring this guy as the new president. Also, this is just what I can share right now. I do have more information that I'm trying to get out. Trying to get permission from the victims and everything. Also trying to save some things for when MrBeast responds. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching.